talking about the lowest hanging fruit of great leadership. I love that term, lowest hanging fruit. I learned it in the Army. I don't know if it's extended beyond it or not, but it's the most readily available, at your fingertips, easiest thing that you can do to become a better leader. And I have something that guaranteed you can do this, and it will significantly impact the organization or people you are leading, and it's guaranteed. And the great news is that you can be an average, mundane, not a great speaker. You don't need a 300 on the PT test. You don't need to be this inspirational, moral, whatever. You don't need to be Washington, Einstein, Schwarzkopf, Patton, or anybody like that. You can be dull and average. Do this and you will be a great leader. And here it is right now. What is this magic? The magic is simply getting in the habit of saying thank you, of showing appreciation to your people and saying thank you. I have spent the last 2 years going from recruiting station to recruiting station west of the Rocky Mountains. And I cannot tell you how many recruiters have said to me how much better their life, their job, their performance would be if their leadership simply acknowledged and appreciated their effort. How much more they would do if they simply had that going for them. I look back at my career, there is a direct relationship between the effective leader and how much that leader appreciated or acknowledged or said thank you for the effort that I did. So my best leaders were the ones that appreciated me the most. And down the bottom level leaders that I worked with, they are the ones that at least expressed it the least. There's a survey that was done by Glassdoor.com. And in this survey, and here's the bottom line, 80% of employees said they would work harder for a more appreciative boss. That if their boss simply showed more appreciation, they would work harder. Do you know what happens when people work harder? They perform better. More gets done. You get that the advantage of that as being their leader. So all you simply need to do is show appreciation to your people. So just go do it. Now you could stop here with that knowledge, and I think that you could get ahead. But I want to not just say, hey, you need to do this. I want to provide you an example and how to do it. And in that, I want to use the example of the Apostle Paul, who I see as someone who was a great leader. I'm going to put up there on the screen just a chunk of Romans chapter 16. And as you look at that, you see it's just a list of names and just people saying greetings and thank you for whatever. These are people that Paul worked with. They might have helped Paul. They might have worked for Paul. And at the end of this letter, this letter that he wrote to the church in Rome, he goes down this list of people, acknowledging them, thanking them, showing appreciation to them for what they've done and their help in his life. And this letter was read to the entire church. And obviously, 2,000 years later, it's being read across throughout the world. 4 observations about this list that you see here. Number 1, Paul publicly thanked his people. He did it in front of others, and that you need to do the same thing. You thank your people publicly in front of others. Again, this book, this letter, the letter of Paul to the Roman church, was read throughout the entire church. So everybody who was part of this church heard this, and these people's names were mentioned. I can imagine what they felt like, as they heard this letter, and Phoebe or Priscilla or Epaphras heard their name. Well, that's me, yeah. People love it when they hear their name in public. And so just don't show appreciation, show it publicly. But number 2, is that Paul just didn't express appreciation publicly. He specifically mentioned people by name. He didn't just say, thank the S1 shop or thank 3rd Platoon or thank, the financial people. He said, thank you, Phoebe. Thank you, Priscilla and Aquila. He mentioned them by name. And so when you thank somebody, specifically mention them by name. But observation number 3 is that he just didn't mention them by name. He specifically mentioned their contribution, what they did. And so it wasn't just thanks, Phoebe, for a great job. It was thanks, Phoebe, for the service that you provided for many, including me. Or thank you, Priscilla and Aquila, not just for being good people, but for risking your lives for me. Or for Epaphras for being my first He's specifically pointed out their impact and what they did. So he publicly praised and acknowledged and appreciated them. He mentioned them by name. He said something specific about what they did. And then the fourth one, though, you can't see it here. If you look at Paul's letters throughout the New Testament, in just about all of his letters, he has a list much like this one, where he just goes off and starts thanking people. This was a habit for Paul. This was something Paul did habitually. And that's the fourth point. Get into the habit of making this part of something that you do. As a matter of fact, my recommendation is anytime you stand in front of a group of people, always point someone out specifically for something specific that they did. Always be in the habit. Be on the lookout for that. And maybe when you find out a story of something somebody did, put it in your pocket, and then you can pull it out at that right time when you're addressing a formation. Every time Paul had the opportunity to address his formation at a greater level, he thanked a group of people, and we need to do the same thing. So 4 simple observations. Do it publicly, specifically mention them by name, specifically mention what they did, and get in the habit of doing it. It is quick, it is easy, and people love it. It is magic. It is the low-hanging fruit of great leadership. So get out there and share that, give that love to the people that work for you, and guaranteed it will turn around and benefit you as a leader. God bless you. Walk in peace and stay awesome.